today's episode 502 is entitled
Matt Murphy, the Justin Bieber of talk radio. Libertarian lunch, noon to 3, whipped cream and Nutella.
I feel insulted.
Why? He's a very successful pop star.
Yeah, but he peed in a bucket. Remember when he peed in the bucket?
I've done that.
You've peed in a mop bucket?
Oh, it wasn't a mop bucket, no.
He was wanting to go to the bathroom, and he had to go to the bathroom, and he was walking through a kitchen, and he peed in a mop bucket.
You're remembering him for the wrong things.
What should I remember?
Look, Taylor Swift has been taken. I had to give somebody... I'd compare you to somebody that was successful.
I don't want to cast aspersions on the ideas presented on the Chris Hand Show when Chris is not here to defend himself, but I believe that anything that elevates Taylor Swift beyond the elevation that she currently enjoys is a bad move. I think it's a mistake. It's a bad move. So I don't know that we need to introduce grandma to Taylor Swift. I don't think that's a good idea.
Do you remember who she endorsed in the 2018 Senate campaign?
I do not.
Phil Bredesen. Who's in that seat?
Marsha Blackburn?
Marsha Blackburn.
Yeah.
So she couldn't even get her home state, her adopted home state.
I'm not suggesting that Taylor Swift would move the needle. I don't believe necessarily that Taylor Swift will move the needle. I think that, maybe she moves the needle to a certain degree on the 18 to 25-year-old class going to vote. Maybe that needle moves a bit, but I don't think it moves enough. This is what I'm dealing with when it comes to Taylor Swift. This is an actual post from an actual human being that actually does politics online. This from yesterday evening at 6:40 in the PM. By now, everyone, and this guy's not kidding, by now everyone knows Taylor Swift is a government psychop. And this is exactly why corporate media is having a meltdown about it.
This is ridiculous.
4 years ago, the Pentagon Psychological Operations Unit pitched to NATO about turning Taylor Swift into a social influence asset. In 2019, George Soros bought her entire music catalog.
Which she was not a fan of.
Did he really?
Yes.
Is that true?
He was part of the consortium. That's where Scooter Braun got his funding to make the purchase of Big Machine.
Is that why That's why she re-recorded everything?
No, it's because she didn't want Scooter having anything to do with it.
That's what I'm saying, though. That was her response to George Soros buying her catalog. Anyway, let's go on with this gentleman's theories here. So Taylor Swift is a government psychop. 4 years ago, the Pentagon Psychological Operations Unit pitched to NATO about turning Taylor Swift into a social influence asset. In 2019, George Soros bought her entire music catalog. In 2020, she came out as a raging liberal Biden supporter after previously being politically neutral. That's actually inaccurate, but whatever. In 2023, all of this is inaccurate, so why am I pointing that one out? In 2023, her Eras tour raked in higher revenue than the GDP of 50 countries. In 2023, she helped register over 35,000 new voters in a single Instagram post. And now she's dating a Pfizer and Bud Light agent in the United States of America and the NFL, the NFL being the most watched live sporting event in the United States. Even the New York Times wrote a story on how Biden is courting her for an endorsement and how he wants to appear on stage with her. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to put it all together. You just have to be paying attention.
This is such a clown.
And my response to Benny was to say anybody that believes this, well, I'll read the response. Anyone who believes this is a complete idiot. Anyone who believes that is a complete idiot. And so that is all I have to say about that. Now, we do have lots to get into today on the program. You're invited to be a part of the show, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWT, and you can either call the show, and I always invite turning a monologue into a dialogue. Come on, let's bring it. You can also join us on the super text line, which is, as always, up and running, and always good activity going on over there. Matt writes in, a Pfizer and Bud Light agent, ha, ha, ha. Well, it is what it is. Andy says, CIA tested facial recognition first at the Taylor Swift tour. So this is kind of adding to the conspiracy. Maybe we can add that to the line of conspiracy thought with regard to Taylor Swift. It's embracing by mocking her from a person she loathes. It's epic trolling. And eventually the Swifties will appreciate it and not be so rancorous to Mark's Trump. I don't know what that means. It is a way to win them over without capitulation of the culture of Swift. Where do you think... I try not to be the old man in the room when I say all of this. When's the last musical artist that captured the imagination in this way? Was it Bieber?
No, not to this extent. Honestly,
I don't know what extent you would call this. I mean, we're pretending. I mean, is she?
She's Beatles level.
Taylor Swift is Beatles level.
Yes.
Huh. Okay. I mean, when is the last entertainment figure Tiger Woods?
I mean, he was giant, but he wasn't this big.
Tiger Woods is this big.
Nah.
Tiger Woods in the 2000s was this big.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, no,
I mean, what you haven't
been wrong yet.
So so Taylor Swift is the biggest thing since the Beatles?
Musically, yeah, and certainly
Michael Jackson?
Maybe a close second.
Madonna?
No. God, please.
What do you mean, no, God, please? No, everyone in my school, every kid in my school, every female in my school was wearing that Madonna crap from Desperately Seeking Susan.
That was a good movie.
I mean, Madonna was big.
She was huge. But
I just don't, Taylor. I mean, I know that I'm a 50-year-old man, but I do not see, I don't understand why people are treating her like someone that can affect the outcome of a political election in a way that others cannot. Like, you're suggesting that it's one thing to get them to sign up. I mean, you're suggesting that she can command of her minions that they go to the polls and they vote.
No. Again, going back to my point, she couldn't even get Bredesen elected in her adopted home state. She's not going to have that much of an influence on the Trump election. She's preaching to the converted.
7150. I mean, I'm getting a lot of response out of this. I mean, Brian writes in, and Brian is exactly right. I mean, Taylor Swift might be nice and all, but she ain't no Conway nor Loretta. I know that. I mean, that's big. Them's big stars. I mean, when she's got a Twitty City, y'all let me know. Until then,
no Dolly World for her.
If you say, God is my witness, whether you think it's true or not, if you say Taylor Swift is bigger than Dolly Parton,
are we talking sales?
I'm coming in the room and I'm going to hit you. So I'm just promising that will happen. Okay. So you can believe it, but just don't say it because you will hurt me.
Thankfully.
You will emotionally scar me if you say it.
Thankfully, pull that off the skimmer for HR.
You just don't say it. That's all I'm saying. I'm warning you. Whether you believe it or you can believe whatever you want.
Oh, not to derail this, but did you see where Dolly is Dan Rather's big interview this month?
Who?
Dolly is Dan Rather, his show.
I know
the
who
big
Dolly
interview.
is. I'm trying to ask you about the other guy.
Dan Rather. He does that. He's got that show, The Big Interview now, where he interviews a music star for like an hour.
Good for him.
I saw a piece of it. It's pretty interesting. But anyway, back to Taylor.
I mean, I would love to see that for Dolly. And actually, as bad as Dan Rather got toward the end of his career with regard to what he did on CBS, I think he's actually a pretty good interview on those things. So, somebody's saying Garth Brooks.
Yeah, I'd put him as comparable.
All right. I just, I try to appreciate and I try not. Yeah, I did too. Ann said I thought Dan Rather died. My grandma. Every time I hear of Dan Rather, I think of my grandmother. I love my grandmother so dearly. God rest her soul. Every time Dan Rather got brought up in my grandmother's household, she would say, and I quote, "Dan Rather do what?" And I don't know why that made me giggle like it did, but even when I was a kid, it made me giggle. 1744, you're trolling me, and I will not dignify your troll with a response. 2968 says Taylor Swift isn't a patch on Dolly's left you-know-what, and I will not say what 2968 said, but I would agree with that. Look, a lot of people want to make a big deal out of this. Here's my takeaway. Is Taylor Swift a big deal? Sure. She's a big deal, especially amongst the younger generation. A lot of people like her. A lot of people like her music. I do not know her, and so I cannot tell you whether I would like Taylor Swift or not. I would say that I have been exposed to a little bit of her music, and it's not for me. But you know what? I'm not a music aficionado. I'm not a music guy. I mean, I listen to a lot of 1960s and 1970s stuff, so I'm a very eclectic music listener in terms of what I like and what I do not like. That said, I don't make a matter of taste into a matter of fact. And I would encourage that we need to do less of that in our society. Let's not make a matter of taste into a matter of fact. Just because I am not a fan of Taylor Swift, I don't judge you for being a fan of Taylor Swift. It's a matter of taste, whatever. It is a different deal, in my opinion, to suggest that an entertainer along her lines could actually affect the outcome of a political election. I don't want to believe that's the case, although I do think that she could move the needle amongst a certain population set, mainly the 18 to 24 or 18 to 30-year-olds. Does that move the needle enough to affect the outcome of an election? Of course it wouldn't. Of course it wouldn't. Now, it does speak to the weakness of the Biden camp that they are endeavoring to link themselves with Taylor Swift, and they are. I don't think that Taylor Swift has any interest in any of this. And I don't know the woman from Adam's House Cat. But I know that she's a good business person. She wouldn't be where she was without having good business people around her or without being a good business person on her own. And so let's be clear. I don't know that she has any interest in hitching her wagon to a doddering old 81-year-old fool. Her brand is too important to her. And 1349 says her fan base is now 40. Is it really? I mean, she's what, 30? What is she, 34?
30. It's almost, yeah, I think the top end of her fan base would be, in terms of the core, would be close to 40. Yeah.
Are we talking about her country music fan base or her pop fan base?
Well, they kind of intermingled from the beginning.
Did they?
Yeah.
Once again, my knowledge and my appreciation of popular music ended around 2000. So what do I know? I mean, I don't. So
I'm here to help.
Thank you, Bill. I don't know that I have a lot of trust. I almost said respect, and that's not true. I do have respect for your musical taste. I don't know that I have a lot of trust in your musical taste, especially when it comes to your favorite band is ABBA.
Yes.
And that's all I'll say about that.